Just do this super cheap
able
way.
to have only one camera able to look at in every direction to make the obstacle avoidance working in every direction. This is an example of the occupation grid of this camera during a flight, an autonomous flight into a flight.
Just putting the earpiece on there. So maybe you'll hear some sound now. Oh, look.
In 3D,
just like an Scodia.
The Parrot drone, they are made for photogrammetry. They are made for mapping. Here we have an example of a 4 kilometers power line map with the drone. And here we have an example of a telecom tower reconstructed by photogrammetry. And you see the accuracy of the images we provide for the user of the drone. Very important in the design of this drone is to be able to make more easily the photogrammetry function. So we have developed the one-click photogrammetry for buildings. We provide the database, the OpenStreetMap building on the application. The only thing you need is to click on the building. The flight planning is done automatically, and then the drone fly and send the images to make the 3D for your photogrammetry.
Okay, so sorry, you might be getting some sound now. I was late to the party with that.
The photogrammetry,
and you've just heard me playing the sound back, so sorry for the feedback, but no doubt it happened.
Megapixel sensor give an accuracy of 0.5 centimeter at 30 meters. And here I show you the photogrammetry of a full city done with Anafi.
Oh
AI.
my. This looks like quite a machine.
On the left, it is the image taken by the video during the flight. And here, what you see is a 3D reconstruction with a very high accuracy permitted by the camera of Anafi AI. The drone takes 1 image per second, which is twice faster in photography than the competition, and the drone is compatible with any photogrammetry software suite in the market. The ability of Anafi AI to send the image through the internet directly to the cloud during his flight makes the photogrammetry much more easy. You don't have any more to copy the data from the SD card to your computer and to send it to your cloud to compute. Okay, another thing very important on the top is the idea we have of the robotic for drones. What we think is the drone, they are, you need there are the possibility to develop specific flight missions, specific use cases, and for this we provide an SDK. On this SDK, we have added a new, very important module, which is Air SDK. Air SDK is the ability to put your software, for the developer, to put his software directly into the drone. You can write some code in C or in Python. Inside the drone, you have access to all the sensors, the EMU, the cameras, but also the depth map, the occupation grid, and all the functions of the autopilot. And this permits to make new missions, new use cases for the drone. In the example that we show, I will show you autonomous flight done around windmills by one of our customers. To do this, on the top of the SDK, we provide a simulator that permits to flight your own code hours and hours to debug your code and to develop your own robotic feature on Anafi.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Then
Parrot.
To make it more fast and more professional in the development, we have put in open source or main application in the iPhone and on the telephone. So it will be in open source. Any developer, a professional developer or a student will be able to use the standard application of Parrot and to add his own features on this professionally developed application. So all of this, we do it because we believe that drones are a part of an ecosystem.
Tell us the price,
in
Henri.
this ecosystem, Parrot, we have fleet management software, mission planning, public safety platforms, surveying and mapping, and we have a lot of partners who develop software. This is a Pix4D software for inspection. This is the SkyVisor software that permit to fly autonomously around the windmills. This is a software for advanced flight planning and software for fleet management from our partners. To be able to make this happen and to make this professional, we have worked a lot on the cybersecurity. The cybersecurity on Anafi drone is designed inside the drone. We have had a chipset, a secure element, a chip who contain the digital keys, the public and the private keys, to be sure that the security operation are done on a specific place who cannot be hacked and cannot be accessed by any developer. This sensitive information permits to check the software integrity. Parrot signs his own software, so we are sure that no one is adding or putting some unknown features. And also our developers, they can sign their own software and they can be sure that no functionality, unknown functionality are added on the software. Also, we have a strong authentication on the 4G sequence. Through the 4G, you can only use your drone. Nobody can access to your drone.
I think, Patrick,
and
it's
the transmission between the
blowing lots of things apart, which is fantastic.
Is encrypted. We sign the picture. That means the picture, you can be sure it has been taken by the drone and it has not been modified between the moment it has been taken and the moment that you receive or you take on your server. And also very important, Parrot follow the GDPR regulation. I mean, we take a lot of care of the data of our customer, and also we make our code auditable.
Is this the dawn of a new age?
Security organization to ensure
there's going to be some other companies that are going to have to pedal really hard to catch up now.
On the Parrot drone software. So
a cool drone.
Drone, Anafi AI, a cool drone, a drone who I think is very intriguing in the design, who have been done with this gimbal that carry the stereo image in all the directions for autonomous flight, and the main gimbal that can move in all the directions.
Maybe I should send you an invite, Patrick.
Pictures. The drone is foldable. It follows the European and American regulation for less than 900 grams drone. It's operable in less than 1 minute. It resists to the rain. So it's really a drone to be used daily by professionals. It comes with a new Sky Controller 4. I think very neat design, who have no apparent cable, who is able to carry a large telephone and small tablets that make the experience very nice. So thank you very much. And this is our new drone for professional, carrying a large ecosystem of functionality with autonomous flight, and for the first time, the 4G that permit to fly the drone on a very robust manner anywhere in any distance. So thank you very much.
Wow. There we are. So, we're going to get a video. Okay. Wonder if it's got a normal radio in there. Yeah. Black maybe, Gary. Yeah. But white resists the heat. Black would be terrible here. Be terrible here in Africa. That looks cool. They tell us there's a deal of critical infrastructure inspection. And look, there's the nod to Skydio, the early Skydio voxel videos. Aristotle. Good old Henri. Wow. Is that? I think that's the end of their presentation. So I'll cut back to it if it comes alive again. Well, Patrick, what do we think?
I think the design is really impressive. I just saw that just a few minutes ago. I think it's good. The other thing that I think about our good friend Henri is the guy's a business guy. You know, I think they tried to think of all of the pressure points, or let's say pain points in the current drone industry. We actually talked about this yesterday on the Drone and Sundry. You know, some of what was going on with in the drone industry, and kind of like a lack of new technology. And I think
you just rolled it all out.
Exactly. I think that some of the cell phone app people are probably sitting there going, "What do we do now?" A lot of these little, say, ancillary services are now included in the suite.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm curious about, and I don't know if you caught it or not, because I was it's breakfast time here in America. Is
Breakfast in America? That'll make a great album title.
Yeah, for like a couple of million people in bed, except for me, who was already up. But is the controller still Wi-Fi? Did they mention? Because I think that is kind
it's
of
4G. It's all 4G.
All right. Well, then I think we're on to something, because that was one of the things I didn't really like about Parrot was the Wi-Fi control. I did a lot of work in San Francisco, and in places that had like Wi-Fi saturation, you'd have dropout. And to be fair, the DJI stuff had dropout.
Yeah,
signal saturation.
It's quite hard to get around that, isn't it? If you're in a built-up area, just say hello to Japan. Well, that was quite the thing. That knocks every blue SUS out the water.
Well, as we had talked about a little bit on Drone and Sundry yesterday, the blue UAS concept is a hard road to hoe. I mean, if we look at the Parrot, remember when Parrot first came out, people were kind of like, well, it's a toy, yada yada. But even when it first came out, they had something that was kind of advanced. Exactly. I would call that the consumer product. So they have that legacy. They have all of that R&D and IP and all the rest of that. And
Exactly.
and the marketing, and they have Henri, who, again, I was trying to explain to somebody, he's not some Silicon Valley guy.
No.
And I think
Oh,
also with
you don't need
Otto,
to assume that.
yeah, I mean, he's into different businesses. I mean, they have a
Yeah.
Bluetooth thing for automotive.
Yeah.
I think they do, some sound stuff. They also do. He's into some other stuff. His family's into filmmaking and whatnot. So the guy is sharp. Did you notice that piece of art on the back of the wall there with the
Yeah.
squirrel?
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's
It was
kind of
all
cool.
there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Was it?
But the blue UAS folks here in the United States, let's say, to catch something like this at the price point.
We didn't get a price. I didn't. Oh, maybe they kept going. Shall I press it and see if they kept going?
Oh, you can see if it keeps going. And they may not even have a price, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna be cheaper than the American offerings.
Yeah. Did
And
it keep
that's gonna
going?
be with
No,
open
it stopped.
source software.
Yeah, no, for sure. And of course, you can use it. All the questions that people are going to ask you about security when you're doing your critical infrastructure inspection and things like that. Well, that's just game over. It's done. It's all answered. And so the others, everyone's going to have to play catch up now. It's very, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Talked about that, but the supposedly the security stuff that was done with the DJI drones and the American, DoD. Oh, you can use DJI, the two models that you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't even buy batteries for one of them, and they don't really support it anymore. So
They've end of lifed it. Exactly. That's exactly it. It's end of life. So,
it's an but
yeah.
I think what Henri has done here, because there are people now who are pretty adamant. They like DJI, and then we got to admit that DJI makes a good product at a great price.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah.
But if I was doing some national security or just a business where I was running that Indian Cricket League or whatever, and I was doing stuff to map my fields or whatever, I don't want to share that data. So I think the Parrot here, they're starting from the gate. All of the pain points seem to be covered. Would you agree here?
Yeah, absolutely. They nailed all the bits that because remember, there's lots of people going to come into this that are coming this because this industry's only just started. It's only just started this year, apparently. Their new thing, and they're just going to say, "Oh, we've heard some shizzle about security. Tell us about security." And the man from DJI is going to say, well, and the man from Parrot's going to say, yeah, here you are. This is how it's done. This is why it's open source, so everyone can see what the code is, see what the code does. So I think people are missing that in the debate about this, that if you have open source code, and as long as you fix it in the version, then you know what's on there, every part of what it's doing, and you can see what's happening if you're grown up. DJI not letting you do that. Yeah, no, they've covered it. The 4G, I need to know whether it's got. I would like it to have Wi-Fi as well, because there's many places that I would be flying that would have zero 4G. So they must have a standard control system on there to fall back on as well. They must. Otherwise,
it's the same deal here. You get out into the country. I do a lot of backcountry stuff now, and you have these apps on your phone with the maps and whatever. You get a little ways off the highway, and we're back to the paper maps with the compass. Even here in California, which is supposed to be like this technology mecca, not so much.
Well,
so I think you're going to have some of these issues, and the same with the UTM.
Well, that's baked in, isn't it? They've already done that. That's already baked in. We know that.
It is baked in, and I almost feel bad. This is another thing that we were talking about yesterday with the drone shows, and let's say the drone horde and all the rest of that. And we're going to have. I've been talking to our favorite aviation attorney, and we're going to have him. We have to have him on soon. I've been. He's raising a lot of good questions about this RID, and and maybe it won't matter in other countries. But here, it would appear that the FAA's, let's say, I don't want to call it an addiction, but their modus of operandi with the backroom deals and the ex parte and all the rest of that seems to have proliferated through this RID thing, and I just don't think it's going to stand.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I think
so
this.
is it something that, you know, Parrot spent all of this money on, and these other companies are spending all of this money on and incorporating into their systems? That's going to be
Well,
structured.
I think no, I think they've just put in the European standard, which is a big enough standard. So it's if you need that, it's there. I think it's roughly what the ASTM one is. But let's be honest about it. There is no unified standard for this remote ID anywhere in the world. What it certainly is saying, and certainly the American one, is keeping the now this is a bad side of open source, is keeping your details in the open. So anybody with a suitable and using Wi-Fi. So okay, it's not going to have huge range, but it wouldn't take much for me to set up a few cell phones around town, or if I suspect you're doing an inspection of a building, or your company every week goes out and does this many thousand hectares, or this bit of the railroad, or this bit of the power line, I'll set up a load of receivers and I'll see exactly when you're doing your flights, and then I'll be able to come in and make my commercial quote to whoever it is you're using it for. And then, or alternatively, I could just come and find exactly, because it's going to transmit not only where the aircraft is, but it's going to transmit where the operator is. So alternatively, I'll come and A, steal your gear, or B, beat you up. One or the other. So there's 3 use cases for RID, I see.
Yeah, or you hit it really. I think that is one of the big concerns that nobody's really talking about is coming in and poaching your secret sauce.
Yeah,
You know, say
yeah.
you're doing, the cell phone tower inspections, or you're doing critical infrastructure. And you say,
Mm.
well, geez, how's this guy operating? They basically could come in and steal your IP electronically, which it's a concern in business here and not just in drones. So
Yeah.
yes, that's true. The other thing is there already have been some court cases with the cell phone companies and some of these apps giving away people's location and harm coming to them, physical,
Mm. Mm.
whatever else. And the cell phone companies are like, hey, we want to back off that. We don't want to be part of that, and that's already established. So I don't think that the FAA got the buy-in from the cell phone companies or the FCC on this deal. How are you going to tell me that you're gonna give the exact location of a miner to what somebody? I mean, we've talked about this before too on the Drone and Sundry. Is the
Mm.
we've had reports of people threatening to kick people's ass because they're spying on them and they're perverts or whatever. And we've talked about dealing with some of that, flying with the buddy system or whatever.
Mm.
Like you said, you're going to have some nut job, trying to find people that they perceive as perverts or
A
voyeurs,
danger. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it creates an unsafe situation, especially if the drone's in the air in a populated area like a city or whatever else. So I don't really think it was thought through. The other thing, I'm doing a bunch of FOIA requests for who was at these cohort meetings, who knew what, when, and where, were procedures followed, and things like that. And it looks like it was slipshod. But the FAA is, as we know with the FOIA thing over here, they are just
Wow.
dragging their
That.
feet.
But that's beginning to happen the world over now. Ian, and the Gatwick stuff is there. Yeah, people are not happy if you ask questions of them, and multiple journalists are asking questions of the CAA in the UK, and they're not rushing to respond. Luckily, Richard, if you watched last night, Richard, the barrister, is going to go quite heavy on it. so woe betide them. They picked the wrong enemy when they tried to collar him for the Gatwick job, the former man from the Civil Aviation Authority legal department. So that just shows that having your details on a list is not a great thing if you happen to be near something.
No, and this is that's another point you're making, even with this remote ID and the rest of all this stuff. So the guy in the area of Gatwick, him and his wife that got rolled up, like, I'm
Yeah.
a known hobbyist. Well, what do you, Osama bin Laden? They got you on a watch list because you fly foam around in the park. I mean, this is.
It was the neighbor. It was the neighbor said, "Oh, he's got model helicopters."
Yeah, and
Stopped in by a Karen.
I mean, you know, we live in supposedly in these free societies, right? Where you're like, I mean, I think it kind of stems back from the Magna Carta, but this, you know, innocent until proven guilty thing. Well, that's all changed, you know. It's like, this guy, we're going to roll this clown up, and and then he'll have to prove, and him and his wife have to prove that they didn't have any part of this. I mean, I don't know what the blowback is in England for those people. I mean, do they go places? I mean, I'm sure the guy goes to the pub, and you know, the guys are like, you know, there he is. You know, there's the Gatwick drone guy, you know. Buy me a pint, you know, whatever.
Well, and he got paid bugger all. They, you know, they got really for the disruption they had to their life. They got paid nothing. They got nothing compensation wise.
Well, just even the inconvenience. It's like, you know, if you were charged with some internet, I mean, that was an international incident, crime, right? So you're like, you know. Oh,
public enemy number
you
one.
know, we thought you were Jack the Ripper, but it turns out, you know, you're just a guy selling fruit over here. Sorry, you know. But it's a little late. You know, I mean, you could Google that guy, and he comes up. Him and his wife come up on the, you know, the most wanted
Battle of Gatwick. Yeah, Rid is it's gonna be it's a very, very poor idea. Much faster, much easier to make sure manned aviation has ADS-B out and we have ADS-B in. We already have ADS-B in. Looks around on desk for autopilot with ADS-B in on it. Can't see it to hand,
like
but it's one here
back there. You know,
it's yeah. Yeah, here's one here. Where is it? There is one.
It's like show and tell. Well, you know, as was alluded to yesterday on the show, there's solutions. There have been solutions. I think that this has been overcomplicated. Too many interests involved. You know, I give the TCAS model. You know, Congress eventually. You know, I think it's another thing that everybody forgets over here in the United States is Congress already passed a law that drones were supposed to be integrated, or UAS were supposed to be integrated into the NAS in September of 2015.
Now you know the real number. You and I know the real number. It's 2047. Right, well, and unfortunately, 2047 is marching his way towards us. We started laughing about that in 2008.
So yeah, exactly. And those were back in the days when, you know, people were listening to what we had to say. You know, let the cat out. Yeah.
Back in the day. I'm waiting for Parrot to send any press releases out. They've not sent any accompanying press to go with that yet, which is so typically ornery. But there we are.
Well, you know, you got to keep wanting more. But I do think that the interests that are involved in all this rulemaking and whatever else, you have people that are trying to sell cell phone apps. You have people that are trying to sell bells and whistles that aren't really needed. And I do think that eventually at one point the Congress is going to say, knock it off, get it done. And, you know, FAA will look around like the TCAS model and go, hey, it kind of works. We'll take that and we'll make that the standard. And I think that's what's going to come here. Because just years and years are dragging on. You know, we talked about the ASTM thing yesterday. You're talking about 15 or 16 years of labor. You know, that really, again, it's arbitrary and capricious. You can use some of the ASTM standards when you go for your exemption here in the United States, but just because you're using that doesn't mean you're going to get your exemption. You know, it's going to take that special relationship inside the FAA, maybe some favors. You know, there's a little quid pro quo going on there. You do some errands for me, I give you an exemption, you charge your client. It's like a banana republic thing.
No, it is. It is. I don't think Louis is going to join us, so I think I'll just draw a line on this. First, I'll just as this started, I thought, oh, I should try and record this, and then I realized the sound didn't come, so I had to put my earbud on top of the recorder. So we got there in the end, so I know next time how to do it. Anyway, it was a very cool, a very, very cool looking thing. I think for myself, I think we've seen a bit of a sea change today. I think we've seen seen a pretty. I'm gonna ring Henri up as soon as we finish and say, "Hey, I want to see that city map. I want to see how you did that." But I don't know if you were in to see that. But when they had the entire southern France small town mapped out with it, it's like flipping that. Come on.
Well, I want to be on that project, you know.
Well, I'd like to see the proof of that. But I also love the fact that they were using the voxel images just like Skydio did, because it's just like, this is just matched you. It just matched you.
No, it's. I do see a sea change. I think you're right, man. And you know, it is a progression that's supposed to come on, but you know, or let's say manifest itself. But you know, again, okay, so now you know it's show season. You're going to go to show season. You're going to see a lot of the old stuff. Then you're going to see this, and then now what? You know, will the others follow suit? Will you have, you know, laurel resting? I want to see this. What's that? It's like the hotel. What is it? It's called the something dragon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The $130,000.
Okay, I'm not interested.
You don't. Do you not want
I
one
thought
anymore?
it was mystical and magical. I'm like, okay, well, let's see the video. But if it's 130 grand, it's too much magic.
It's what we call two Cessna 172s or whatever. You know, it's
I can fly everywhere in the NAS anytime.
But there you go, with a sensor pod under the wing, because that's your critical tipping point, isn't it? When the stuff gets so expensive, just slap a pod on underneath the wing of a manned aircraft, and as you say, hello, air traffic control, I'm over here, go in there, and yeah,
you know, but and that's another thing with the drone thing and the regulatory side of this. I think that you know we've seen this in the years that we've been in this, and I think that's another thing because people don't really realize that how long we've been in this maelstrom.
Too long.
You know, it's and people come and they go, oh, there's so much work in the visual line of sight envelope, and there's just not enough to do everything that everybody wants to do. And as Tad McGear said, you know, and he was right on this deal. Aircraft make money when they're in the air.
Yeah.
So every day you're like, you know, whatever you got on your shelf over there, you know, is the technology is, you know, fleeting.
Yes.
Or whatever. So your potential ROI is gone. Is, let's say, devaluating on the shelf over there. I don't think that people really get that. You know, even this with Parrot. I mean, again, if you were starting from scratch and you're like, this is what I want to build, what Parrot just released, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll bring this thing on. Look, I said we were going to go. I'll bring this thing on, and people will laugh about it. But let us not forget the first thing with a distance sensor, the first thing with flow control, the first thing that you could speak to via USB with a camera, integrated app, and it's a pretty tidy Linux computer running in there. So this, of its time, absolutely blew the microcopter controllers away. Okay, so it's a little bit fragile, it's a little finicky, but this is the family lineage. You know, as you said, they've made 4.5 million drones, Parrot. They know, you know, they've made some gear. They've had to do some stuff, and I think they have just raised the bar. I really do. Be interesting to see what DJI says against it. It'll be very interesting to see what Skydio says. Because if you've put your order in now, I'm sorry, Skydio, but if you've put your order in for, I don't know what the price is, but if I've put my order in for an S2 and I've seen that come along, I'm definitely there. I wonder if it's price compatible. I wonder which one. It can't be, because no, they put it up to 1.5, didn't they? I think the S2 just recently. So,
you know, the other thing with that is, you know, people talk about supply chain issues.
Yes.
And
yes,
you know, we know that Parrot already has that, let's say, worked out.
Yeah.
So you're going to order, you're going to be able to get, and not that the Skydio's a bad. I mean, I've seen it fly, and you know, whatever else. And it was funny, I commented about that the other day because they're doing a deal with BNSF.
Now we're in trouble. Louis driving into town. He just kept driving since last night. He's been driving all night. His hands wet on the wheel.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, it's just it's one of those. It's a good system, but again, supply chain issues and whatever else. We know that Parrot already has that worked out. If you order one, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
let's say, track record, yada yada
Yeah.
yada. So you're correct. You are right. If you ordered and you're waiting, you might be second guessing yourself.
So what do you reckon then, Louis? Have you actually got one?
I have one here, right by my side.
But you can't show us. Oh yeah, the old one. Interesting that they had. Interesting that they had windmill inspection as a use case. Also interesting that you.
Why? I wonder why.
I wonder why. Well, it's interesting that you've just bought a Skydio, or your company's just bought a Skydio to use for windmill inspections.
No, we are no. I can tell you. By the way, the cost of a basic Skydio is $1,300. Just went up quite a bit. But if you want to use it, you need the remote, you need some extra batteries, so that brings the price to around $1,900. Yeah, that's.
And then you need a $5,000 a year in inspection package, don't you?
Well, but come on, it's cheap.
If you're using it.
No, it's cheap. The thing is, it depends on what you are going to do with it. The thing is, we are always trying to evaluate every technology out there, and we don't close the door. Okay, it's too different. No. There are a few parameters for one. Even this morning, I was having a discussion with a colleague about, we should get that drone from those guys. The drones are so funny and so powerful and so this and so that. And I asked him, do you have an idea what the trouble is of doing the battery management with those large batteries? You're going to get yourself in hell if you try to get one of those in operations. So, for instance, when you go to industry, one of the things that you have to always consider is how little tech the operators / pilots are going to be. You always have to assume the least possible solution. So everything must be as much plug and play as possible. So if you get crazy, you need those heavy duty chargers that you cannot charge easily in the field, that you need to backpack an Honda generator with 2,000 watts or something. It's not viable to use. That's where DJI excels, with the ease of use of their industrial systems. They could be a bit better. Come on, they had a good thing going with the M210 V1 with the 99 watt-hour batteries that would be airplane carrying friendly, and they broke it with the V2, and oh god, they broke it like crazy on the M300. But at the moment, we have to consider a lot of factors, not only technical factors. You can have the best drone in the world, and if the logistics of operation are stupidly complicated, you just keep the toy. It will be considered a toy. That's what's important.
And that's the gold right there. The people that are operating in the field. You're right, Luis. If you go out there, if you're operating remotely in the field, you don't bring all your tools. You can't, bring the generator and all the rest of that. And then there's also the stress of getting the product. If you go out into the field and do an inspection, really you're really focused on trying to get the data that you were hired to get. And you're right. If it's complicated by, I got to bring this, I got to have that. If this doesn't work, and or complications, and I've got to log all of this stuff. Whatever you want to pile onto that is only going to add complexity to the product. So you're 100% right on that. I agree with that. And it's funny is so many people, if you're sitting in front of the whiteboard and the air conditioning's on or whatever else, it's very easy to speculate what it's like out in the field. But that's where the rubber meets the road.
Because you've always forgotten that one thing. It doesn't matter how many checklists you've got, or this or that or the other.
Yeah,
There's
or you have
always
a problem,
that.
and you don't have the tools.
There's always that thing. So the easier you can make it, so the harder it is for you to forget that thing, the better. I don't know. I don't have any specs on it yet. I'd be interested to know what a 32-minute flight time, I've been told, with 360-degree obstacle avoidance, 48 megapixel Bayer camera.
12 real megapixels.
Yeah.
For it's a 12 real. That's the common sensor that is being in use in lots of cell phones. It's a technique that has been in use for quite some time. It's 48 megapixels. Sorry, I still prefer the 20 megapixels of one of these.
True, yes. All pixels are not equal, I suppose you could say.
No, they're not.
Yes.
No, but the thing is, like Patrick was saying, so we can go and we have teams doing 18 inspections a day with one system, and that's quite an achievement for them to do that. It's working hard. Our goal is to make their life as smooth as possible, because that's where the numbers come in. If you do one inspection a day, oh God, let's just say the numbers won't add up.
It's almost like the Southwest model, here in the United States. Southwest flies 737s, and all of their pilots are rated for 737, and all of their maintenance people and cargo handlers and that uniformity or standardization makes for efficiency. And it's the same thing. I mean, I'm sure, Luis, your company probably go out and inspect different things, maybe windmills, cell phone towers. I don't know that much about your business, but if I need different equipment to look at different stuff and different software and all the rest of that, it starts to add to the complexity, which usually erodes the profitability.
Yeah, no, it's easier to focus on one vertical, pun intended. So we always look at the same vertical, and it makes it much easier. And the process is smooth and rolling wonderfully. I'm always watching my email inbox. If anything comes in that was not on the plans, no, zero inputs today on my inbox regarding issues. So all is well when there are no news, and that's important for us. For instance, yesterday we had one team that was fighting with crazy, but I've never seen as crazy GPS interference as possible. So the drone wouldn't lock, the system wouldn't arm anything, and turns out it was a stupid power generator that was disguised in the bushes, and nobody knew it was there. And well, the guy just had to move a few hundred meters away from that, and everything went okay. But those are the smaller details that you cannot judge by sitting on your desk and doing the master plan.
Right. Well, it's just that's the politics of the business, or let's say the hurdles that you got to overcome. But that's why we're looking for manufacturers to come up with kit that makes it easier on the guy or girl going out there to do the job. And as you were saying yesterday, Gary, how long is this going to be the pilot? Where you're just going to push the button, and really, I think I see the drone in the box at the let's say, the windmill farm, and
Yeah. Yeah,
drone
well,
that
Louis will have an
tree.
opinion. Louis will definitely have an opinion on that.
Have you been speaking with my boss, Patrick? You sure I've been speaking with my boss? That's
Well, that's
Well,
going
it
to
just makes sense, isn't it? It puts its head out the door. It goes like this. Oh no, it's not too windy. It's
It
not
has to have a
raining.
finger.
The light's just right. Right, I'll tell you what. I'll go off and do the inspection whilst the conditions are perfect, and I can get it done easily, and no one's driving it. Then I'll put myself back to bed, puts on a little television screen, sits and watches it for the rest of the time until the weather's right. It's got to be how it's going to go. It's got to be.
yes. Technically, I can tell you, it's very easy to do. I can do it on paper. It takes me 5 minutes. Well, the execution might take a little longer. Come on,
I will tell you that there is a machine operated from Australia that flies on the top of the mountains behind me in Lesotho, and all the bloke does, puts batteries in, takes it out, he puts it on a picnic table, a big wooden one, puts it on there, and the whole flight's run from Australia. But of course, that would be illegal, and that would never happen. And because so I don't know about that.
We did that live. We were speaking while I was flying, and
yes,
now
we did. You're right.
So that is possible, and that's one of the things I like on Parrot. It's the openness of their platform. Yes, DJI also has their SDKs. Oh my God. But they change things every 5 minutes. So it's a moving target developing for Parrots. For DJI, sorry.
Well, good conversation. I'm going to have to jump off because I have a.
So am I. Yeah, the day is continuing.
Exactly, but good. I definitely want to see where this goes.
Yeah, nice. Oh, he's watching the video now. All right, guys. Yeah, there's a good time to pull plug. Thanks for jumping in, Louis. A very quick one for you, Louis. What is your? We haven't actually had your impression of this thing.
I think it puts them back in the top of the game. That's my honest opinion. I know what was the goal. I know the products, and I really think that most of the news would be the additional openness to development they have, and that is a very more than the drone itself is how open the platform is against Skydios and DJIs. They took it one step further.
Well,
and
all of the other blue entries actually. So yeah, it's open, it's secure, and it's well thought out. And of course, it had that little honorary flair to the whole presentation as well. So that was very cool. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for this impromptu reaction video. Dear viewers, join us at 2100 GMT every Tuesday when we chat nonsense. Be safe out there. Wear a mask, wash your hands, all those are good things. Look after yourselves, everyone. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Nope.